We don't often get to hear the other side of the story. Not only is there a contingent of First Nations who strongly support Alberta's oil and gas industry, but a collaborative project between those First Nations might actually see a pipeline built to Tidewater. The Eagle Spirit Pipeline is what it's called. It's in the early stages right now, and it turns out the main roadblock is, you guessed it, Justin Trudeau. I caught up with Stephen Buffalo. He's the president of the Indian Resource Council. I asked him why First Nations were spearheading a project like this. He said he wants to see people working instead of living on government handouts. Take a listen.
You know, in the discussion of ownership of this pipeline, I thought, as an advocate that, a business opportunity may present itself, and that's kind of why we, not only for the importance of it, but in the safety of it, but just to ensure that our First Nations have another avenue of business opportunity other than what they receive from the federal government.
Like most pipelines trying to get Alberta resources to market, there are significant roadblocks. The way the mainstream media portrays it, it seems like the most common one is First Nations people themselves. Obviously, that's not the case here, so what could it be?
I know this is that they have some capacity, but they still have to go through the whole process of going through the federal government's internal bureaucracy, we'll call it, with applying through the NEB and NRCan, to make sure that, there's opportunity there. But, with the Bill C, I think it's Bill C-48 with the tanker ban, that, it's going to obviously cause some problems.
If I recall correctly, one of the pillars holding up Bill C-48, the tanker ban, was that First Nations groups themselves were opposing all tanker traffic. Since that's not the case, who could Justin Trudeau be trying to help with this tanker ban? Some
of our people have been hijacked, and that they've been kind of misleading our leaders with wrong information and stereotypes and fear-mongering of what pipelines are and what they do. So when our First Nations people are at the forefront and they're on the press, in front of the TV cameras, I don't know if they're speaking from the heart or if they're speaking because they were told. This is what you got to say. You know what I mean?
What Stephen Buffalo said is that some folks have been hijacked into opposing tanker traffic in the West Coast. It's interesting to hear that from the horse's mouth because it has been corroborated by Vivian Krause, who has been speaking about foreign funds and manipulation of public attitudes in Canada. I asked him why they're choosing to invest in pipelines over rail cars, and he said this.
You really just do your own research and you find out, hey, this thing is better in the ground than on a railway or on a highway where our family drive vehicles. Railways go along lakes, rivers, and you know what? The thing that we don't never hear about is how many railway derailments that do happen in Canada with toxic material.
What really took me by surprise is that he talked about pipeline sabotage from environmental activists. In a world where left-wing protest is more violent than ever, it's something that Canada might need to look out for in the future.
There could be sabotage. I don't know. That's the only time you hear about these pipelines having problems.
The fate of the Eagle Spirit Pipeline hangs in the balance, and from the sounds of it, there are two opponents, Justin Trudeau and foreign-funded activists. Are Albertans, including the First Nations people of Alberta, are they going to let outside forces determine our future, or are we going to stand up for ourselves? We're going to have to wait and see, I suppose. For the Rebel Media, this is Keenan Bexty. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the coverage. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Twitter and Facebook for more information and more coverage there.